So I really like Deltarune, and at the time of this video, I've only been into Deltarune for a month, which gives some perspective compared to fans who've been waiting years for the following chapters. I got to experience the first 4 within this time frame, though now I'll be part of a wait for the next 3 chapters. At least the next one's coming out next year, but I figure with what I experience, I do an old ranking of the chapters out now. They're at least enough to line up, so here goes. So number 4 is chapter 1, and there's still a lot I like in this. Really, my only justification putting it at the bottom is it's the simplest chapter, which is really telling with how much more the game has to offer. I mean, I like it enough to still go for the tutorial just to hug Razzle again. The basics of the combat look quaint in hindsight, compared to how much more dynamic stuff gets in later games. I also like the development with Susie, going from not complying for rules of the game to being a willing ally who understands friendship. Great stuff. At number 3 is 2. You know, originally I was going to have this below 1, because I wasn't as much of a fan of the setting and it involved splitting up the trio for a bit. However, the aspects I consider drawbacks do have pluses. While the Techno City isn't a fancy lane of the first game, it does have its moments of awe, and fleshing out the other characters does build up the world. And we do get plenty of the trio anyways. Honestly, what won me over is the ending. The giant queen boss is one of the more satisfying ones in the game for me, at least for this point in time. It just becomes a standard punch 'em up boss, which I found satisfying. And also having Susie socialize with Chris at the end. Honestly, really good stuff. Now at number 2 is 3. Yeah, you're going to be noticing a pattern that with later installments in the game, it gets better, which is really a testament for creatives. I'm really used to quality going down with installments, getting worse with each subsequent follow-up, so it's nice to have vice versa here. Anyway, I just had a lot of fun with chapter 3. It's just entertaining having a trio in a silly game show, doing a bunch of wacky stuff together. They feel like stronger characters bouncing off each other. Also, having a sillier chapter might be welcome considering the following chapter. So at number 1 is of course number 4. There's just a lot to say positively about this chapter. Where to start? It sticks out where it starts with exploring the town towards the beginning rather than towards the end, which is really cool for one of these chapters. They have fun people to encounter. We also get a segment where Susie and Chris visit Noelle, learning that she's rich. And here we get Chris struggling more with their soul. I mean, we've seen bits in basically post-credit scenes, but here it's actually part of the story. There are a lot of implications of what the soul means, as technically we're controlling the heart that controls Chris, so we don't often see what their actions are really like, not being manipulated by the player. And throughout this chapter, we do a bit of exploring who the real Chris is. The Dark World is a whole other story. After 2 tech-based Dark Worlds, it's good going back to more fancy-like one. There are a lot of elements of horror, constantly playing with light and our expectations. A lot of strong emotions here too. There's a lot I could just go into positively about this chapter. I'm not even going to hold it against the creatives if chapter 5 somehow isn't as good as chapter 4. They proved themselves plenty of times before, so I'll just be open to what they offer. I have a lot of positive stuff to say about the series and hope to say more in the future. Cheers.